Having low self-esteem is devastating for a guy in almost every area of his life, but none more so than dating. Because one of the most fundamental things girls always say they're looking for in a guy is confidence. And if your self-esteem is in the toilet, how are you ever going to communicate who you are in that effective, charismatic manner? So one of the most toxic things for a guy is if he has super low self-esteem. And this is speaking from someone who spent the majority of his teenage years and early 20s really battling with that sense of not being good enough and having a true desire to change that, because I did not feel good enough about who I was and I had awful self-esteem and no confidence. Since then, fortunately, I've managed to change some of this. So I'm going to list down in 3 major categories the best things that you can do to go from being that person that has that low sense of self-belief and self-confidence to someone who is able to walk over and approach the girl, who is able to ask for the raise to get the life that you want to live. So, first and foremost, start telling the truth. I think the most game-changing chapter of any book in my entire life will always be Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, and it's his chapter, Tell the Truth, or at least don't lie. One of the reasons that my self-esteem was in the toilet as much as it was because I'd spent so many years compromising exactly who I was to get others to like me and to feel better, that maybe if I lie about what I'm interested in and what I've done, maybe people will like me more, maybe they'll stop bullying me, and all these things led to, maybe that momentary thing where they might take slightly more interest in you, but deep inside, you've compromised who you are. You have said that you're not good enough because I've had to lie in order to get any kind of appreciation from others, and your internal body and clock watches this, and this might be going on for you so long that you have a false understanding of who you even are because you've told the lie long enough that you no longer remember it was a lie. And this is devastating for your own level of self-esteem. So understanding that the only route out of this, it sucks, but it's beginning to tell the truth. And as a subcategory of this, it's being able to say no. Being able to have that opinion that when people are asking to do something that you don't want to do, being able to say no to that. When people are behaving in a way that you don't really like and don't think acceptable, being able to stand up to that. This is the stuff that builds self-esteem, and it all is rooted in truth. It's rooted in your ability to express who you really are and what you truly feel, because every time you compromise how you feel and what is real and true for you, you knock down your self-esteem. You don't have that ability anymore. And this was something that was huge for me, that I started being more effective at telling the truth to others, to such a point now that I try and hold myself to a high standard, because one of the most miraculous things happened. I started really trying to keep in check any point that I said something that wasn't true. And whether it's you're caught in the moment and you just say something off the cuff and reflecting back, it's like, that probably wasn't true. Well, I watched all of these, and if you watch that lie long enough, it comes back to bite you in the arse. It comes back to just hurt you. We call them like boomerangs that you cast out into the world, every single one of these lies, and then you get hit by it, and you only have yourself to blame, and it knocks your self-esteem down even more. So learn to ask for what you want, learn to say no, and tell the truth. And I bucket all that together in just aligning yourself to the truth, and that will boost your self-esteem so fast. Okay. Secondly, start to live the life that you want to live. One of the reasons that your self-esteem might be low is because your life just sucks. I know that's not a very clinical answer, but you might just be upset because you're living a false life. And then if you start to build out and do the habits that you want to do the hobbies you want to do, and most importantly, Surround yourself with the people that you want. If you've got friends that only like you because of the image you portrayed rather than who you are, then you're not going to feel good about yourself. I felt this shift and this difference between when I was younger and I was growing up around people that probably weren't looking out for the best in me and did really sort of put down any area of me where I felt like I was expressing who I actually was. Well, that friendship group versus the ones that I got later on at university, after I'd left university, where they really appreciate you for who you truly are, it has a ginormous effect on your level of self-esteem. When people enjoy your company and love you for who you truly are, it's insane. You feel so much better and more connected than this sort of falsehood that you had to create. So looking to construct a life of, okay, I'm going to do some things myself. I'm going to treat myself and actually go to the cinema if I want to go to the cinema. Go running if I want to do that. Choosing to live the life that you want, not the one that you think your parents want for you or the ones that you think will get you validation from others. These are essential steps, and they were for me. That this kind of leads us on to our third point, and that is to outwork your self-doubt, which is a quote from Alex Hormozy, that if you can get away from being that guy that is shouting words of affirmation in the mirror because they don't work, the only thing that does work for increasing your self-esteem is outworking your self-doubt and creating what is called like a cookie jar of the things that you've done that prove you kind of are the shit. And like, there are multiple instances when I'm feeling down and depressed and I reflect back. I quit my job in accounting. I went completely rogue and I YOLO'd my entire life just because I didn't think it was right for me. And doing that has given me this level of confidence boost that I was brave enough to leave what was the most stable, steady thing that I'd been working towards for like 8 years of my life. And I just sacked it off because I knew it wasn't a real reflection for me of who I am. And that has made me brave enough to walk into the future knowing that I can probably handle things that come my way. So I have that. I have a time me and a bunch of friends just went and cliff dived, and that was insane. And it helps bring back these memories for me to solidify an identity of who I actually am, and not to always just get beaten up by the world and have this low self-esteem, which will always trap you. There are things in your life right now that you could do that you know you're avoiding, that maybe you could plan that trip, maybe you could go speak to that girl. The annoying thing about courage is that you get it after you did the activity, not before. We almost get it, picture it like a boss battle in a video game, that when you beat the boss, you come out of that and you get all the XP for beating the boss, but you get it afterwards. You get it after the accomplishment. You don't get to go in there fully charged. You go fight the monster, and then afterwards you get the treasure. And that's what it has to be for you. It's being the person that's brave enough to outwork their self-doubt, because that's the gap that you're trying to fill. And there is where you will start to get your higher levels of self-esteem. There is a fucking myth that they just believe that some people, they're just amazing, they're born with all this high self-esteem. Honestly, you can work your way up to it. If you can start to build this undeniable stack of proof for who you are, you will have all the self-esteem you need, and you won't become a narcissist either, because you actually did the work. And going through that will then allow you to have the relationships that you want. When I interact with girls now, I don't feel insecure in some like overwhelming way, because when they push against me and maybe they push back, it's like they hit something solid, because I am who I said I am. I'm the person that ran off and went to live in Bulgaria, even though I'd never lived anywhere outside of the UK before. The person that quit his job, the one that jumps off cliffs, I'm the one that runs marathons. I did all those things, and I also tell the truth, because one of the reasons that it's scary when you've set all these lies in motion about who you are is you feel flimsy. It feels like you're paper mache and they can like poke through you. You're not solid. And this is why guys get scared of these kind of tests from girls. I love it if a girl tests me and sort of pushes back, because I know I'm solid. It's like, oh, if she's pushing back because she's interested, she wants to see if all these things that I've said, they're real. Because she's like, oh, fuck, if this is real, I really like that dude. So if she's pushing back and testing to see if I am somewhat secure, that I'm not going to go all panicky, then it's perfect. So building up your self-esteem so you're just real, it takes time. This shit, it doesn't happen overnight. That journey that we've broken down there, it's probably about 8 years. Like realistically, it could be 10 years. But that's not to say that I was useless for all that time. You build it up as you go through. And there is always going to be one thing that holds you back. When guys try and build up self-esteem, there's one emotion that is just way, way deadly to every guy out there. And I actually break that down in my most favourite video I've ever made for this channel, because it speaks to me on such a level of why it held me back. And there is one deadly emotion that if you can't get over this, it will ruin every single one of your relationships, and your self-esteem will never be able to get out of that toilet. So if you want to see what that is, check out in this video here. I guarantee you won't be disappointed, because I love that video and I actually go back and watch it sometimes because it still helps me. So check it out. I'll catch you on the next one.